Good morning. I can tell you that I really like that kind of weather, especially when I am inside the building, we have a Sabbath. And we are in the best place that we can be right now. And just by being here, we can say, outside bad, inside good. And it is very nice to be here, look at the windows and say, hey, I am truly in the best place that I can be right now. From many different reasons, right? Before I start my sermon, I just wanted to share also something with you that I believe Michael forgot. Is the concert. The next Saturday at 6 in Hinsdale Church, there will be Thanksgiving concert, and this concert is also to collect money to support Adra Poland, because Adra Poland is supporting Ukrainians that went from Ukraine to Poland, right? So if you want to support them, it's you can go there, it's at 6. So actually, you can spend your time with Jason Bradley from 3ABN, then eat something, and then go to Hinsdale at 6. And the concert is free, but of course, they will be collecting money to support those Ukrainian people. So you have your invitations in the bulletins, so actually I think you should know about this, and I hope I will see you there next Saturday, okay? So now I would like to share some stories with you, okay? And to help you understanding the first story, first, I have to explain to you how the Polish system of higher education works, okay? So in Poland, in our universities, to be a professor, there is not enough to be a doctor who is teaching there, okay? In Poland, to be a professor, it is something really, really huge, okay? And we have two kinds of professors, okay? One kind is extraordinary professor, and we have ordinary professors. And to make it more complicated, ordinary professor is higher than extraordinary professor. It is because extraordinary professor is on extraordinary conditions, okay? So actually it says, university is saying to someone, hey, we would like to promote you to be a professor, but we know that, to be a ordinary professor, there is a special commission, the special committee made from ordinary professors, and this committee made from ordinary professors, so this committee is made from the wisest, okay? And this committee is saying, hey, you are good enough to be an ordinary professor, but if you are not good enough, you can be extraordinary professor just because your university said that they think that you are good enough, okay? So when someone in Poland is ordinary professor, it means that, this is the huge mind, he's so wise that the wisest people in Poland decided to call him ordinary professor, and this is so huge that you are getting promotion from President of Poland himself, okay? In Poland, there was only one Seventh-day Adventist who was ordinary professor, and when he died, president of Poland, was on a funeral by himself, So this is really huge. Being ordinary professor is something really huge. Okay. And why I am telling you this story? In Poland, there is also something, if you are pretend to be a PhD, if you want to be PhD, you also have to defend your doctoral thesis. And one of our pastors, he decided to be PhD. He wanted to be PhD. And to be PhD, he had to defend his PhD thesis, his doctoral thesis. So in his doctoral thesis from theology, he wrote that he is a creationist, and he was writing his thesis from the perspective of creationist. And when he had his defense, he was standing there, and actually defense of doctoral thesis is something really huge, and actually it is always open to visitors. So everyone can go there and just listen how it works, and how is it like, and so on and so on. So when he was there were a lot of Christians that were really interested in this defense. And of course, there was also a committee, and among that committee, there was one ordinary professor, huge brain, okay? And this ordinary professor, he just took this thesis, and he started with a question: do you really believe that this world was created in 6 days, and then God rested on 7th day? And this pastor said to him, Professor, I really believe so, because Jesus said that God created male and female from the beginning. So actually, he quoted Matthew chapter 19 and verse 4, right? And he said, Jesus said that God created them from the beginning. And this professor, this ordinary professor, just smiled, and he said, you know what? Evolution is proved, and actually we don't have anything to talk about, you failed because you are creationist, And he closed his thesis, and he said, you failed. We have nothing to talk about. And you know what this pastor replied to him? He said, pastor, because he was not only ordinary professor, but he was also a pastor from one of Christian churches. But using word pastor, he never should call him pastor because he was professor, okay? You can be pastor and it is not as huge as being professor, right? So he should call him professor, but he called him pastor. You are right. If words of Christ doesn't mean anything to you, we don't have anything to talk about. Can you imagine this? He is a pastor and he has to admit that words of Christ means nothing to him. So this professor, once again, opened this thesis and he said, okay, let's talk about it. And I can tell you that this is a great story because I know that there is a huge temptation among our pastors who are going to make their own PhD to write about things that everyone agrees, and they're very easy to defend, and so on and so on. But this pastor said, no, I want to be faithful to what I believe. And he was writing his thesis from the perspective of creationism. creationist. And he is a doctor of philosophy. So he defended his thesis. And you know what? That made me think, how many proofs actually from the Bible we have that this world was really created in 6 days. Because it's really not only about what it is written in a book of Genesis, but there is also proof like that. Because if Jesus himself, he is saying God created world, and he created man and woman just from the beginning, then actually Jesus cannot lie to us, right? So this is one of the arguments. But actually, it's not only the only argument. There is also another scientist called Robert Gentry. Have you ever heard about him? He's American. Oh, you know about him. Okay, so do you know his story? Yes, this is what he discovered. So actually, his story was pretty exciting because he became a scientist as a Catholic Christian. Okay, so as a Catholic Christian, he believed that first 11 chapters was just a metaphor. It's not literal. So from his perspective, he didn't have any problem with belief that, that evolution is true, because those first 11 chapters, this is just a metaphor. This is just a story. And he believed in evolution so much that whenever he finds something that that blows evolution away, like totally, when he had proof that evolution is false, he put that proof into his trash because, hey, evolution is the most important thing in my scientific life. And Robert Gentry started reading his Bible. And when he was reading his Bible, of course, first 11 chapters, very nice story, but just a story. But actually then, he read the fourth commandment. And you know what's in the fourth commandment? It is written, "For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy." And he said, hey, this is the law. You know that the law cannot be just metaphoric, right? This is the law. Can you imagine, Michael, can you imagine you are selling $1 million house, okay? And someone is signing all the documents, and he's saying, and now you are saying, hey, now give me this $1 million, and he is giving you $10, and he is saying, hey, I thought that was just a metaphor. Who can afford the $1 million house? Here is your $10, because this is just a metaphor. Is it possible? No. Would you like to sell $1 million house for $10? No. Oh, I'm so sorry because I have my $10 with me. So, yeah. Okay. 20? Yeah. Okay. So if we are talking about the law have to be literal. Is it true? It have to be literal. So when he realized that actually it is in the law, he just decided, hey, I have to do my research once again. So he took his researches out of trash and tried them once again, and he found a lot of proofs that evolution is not true. And he was putting this on the scientific magazines, and he didn't get any response, because actually, this is what they are doing. Evolution scientists, they are just saying nothing about anything that proves that evolution is wrong. They are just not replying. They are just pretending that it doesn't exist. But Robert Gentry was the one who said, hey, I want to be faithful to the Bible, and I want to be faithful, actually, to what I really discovered. You can put his name on YouTube. It's Robert Gentry, once again, Robert Gentry. And there is some movies that he is explaining why he doesn't believe in evolution, and he is explaining this from the scientific point of view. This is very nice. This is very interesting, especially when someone is interested in science. So this is amazing. Actually, I can even tell you that this week we had a festival one day that actually may prove, I want to say once again, may prove, I'm not saying that this is for sure is proof, okay? But this week we had one day that may prove that the Bible is true. You know what I am talking about? Which day? Halloween. You know that even Halloween may prove that the Bible story is true? You didn't know about this, right? So let me explain this, okay? On the same time, in every culture in the world, everyone have their festival of death. Did you know this? It is not only about Halloween here in America. El Día de los Muertos. Did I pronounce it well? Yes. Thank you. In Mexico, but actually it was celebrated by Aztecs. The same time. Finados in Brazil. It's on the 2nd of November. Dia de las Natitas. I hope I pronounced it well. Okay. In Bolivia. Actually, it is in November the 8th, but still about the same time. Even in Poland. All Souls Day? Where? In the Catholic Church. Yeah, but the Catholic Church actually probably took it from the pagan religions and spread it out on the whole world, right? But I am saying about something that was before Catholic Church. It was before the Catholic Church, okay? So in Slavic culture, you know, I am Poland. I raised up in Poland, and I know the Slavic culture very well. And I can tell you that in Slavic culture, there was a day called Dziady. You don't know this word because you don't know Polish, but actually it means ancestors. So this day is between October 21st and November the 1st. So at this night, exactly at this night, Slavic people, and I am telling you, before Christianity, before Catholic Church spread it out, all the Slavic people were going to the cemeteries. They were eating food with those dead people. They were pouring out some alcoholic drinks, you know, to give them. They were also lighting some fire to help those souls to get there, and spend time with them. This is Slavic culture, okay? And all of that days are exactly in the same time, okay? And you know what? In the Bible, there is a verse, it is Genesis chapter 7, verse 11. It is written in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, on the same day, all the fountains of the great deep were burst open, and the sky's windows were opened. And you know what? Of course, there is one very important thing to know. We are not sure according to which calendar, that was the second month and 17th day, okay? But because that was described by Moses, we can assume that it was described by the calendar that he was using. And according to that calendar, the second month and the 17th day is somewhere between October 31 and November 1st. That may explain why in every culture, in the whole world, it doesn't matter if it is Slavic culture in Europe or Aztec culture in America. On the same day, they had their festival of death to remember that huge flood. It is possible. I am not saying that this is for sure, okay? But it is very possible. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't mean that I am saying, hey, let's keep Halloween because it is about flood, and it is biblical. No. On the contrary, please don't do it. I am not saying that keeping Halloween is great, because actually it is clearly pagan, right? If it was Christian, it would be in the Bible, right? So, okay. So this is really amazing. Even this week, we had one day that should actually remind us that, hey, maybe Bible story is true. I can give you other proofs, and I will do it. For example, did you know that all the snakes have a dormant genes of having limbs? Did you know this? Oh, because I told you. So, all the snakes, scientists, they took snakes, of different kinds of snakes, and they checked which kind of genes are responsible for having limbs, having legs, arms, and so on. And they discovered that all the snakes have genes that are responsible for having limbs. But they are not on, they are off. Okay? They are dormant. And you know how evolutionists, how they are explaining this? This is funny. They are saying, oh yeah, because there is easier to crawl on your belly than walk on your feet. Really? This is crazy. This is crazy. And you know what? I don't think that Moses knew anything about DNA. Okay? So when he was describing that before the sin, snakes had legs, they had limbs, and they lost it, he didn't know that actually they can check all the DNA code and check if it is true or not. actually Bible is explaining why is that? Only Bible explains it. And those scientists, no, Bible is not saying anything about this. No, it is better to crawl on your belly than walk on your feet. Really? So why only snakes don't have legs? I'm not talking about fishes, okay? This is... But from the land animals, why is it only about snakes? If it is better to crawl on your belly. This is crazy, okay? So, and I am telling you about scientific facts that really proves that the Bible story is true. This is amazing. The other story is something that we should also be aware of. You know that every culture in the world have 7-day week? What's the purpose of having... You know that this is very inconvenient. It is inconvenient because, we could take, for example, we could make 5 days week because, we have 375 days in a year. So actually, we can divide this 365 days in, we can, divide it for 5, but for 7, no, it's not very convenient, right? The lunar calendar, in lunar calendar, 1 month is more than 29 days. So once again, it doesn't fit. So why every culture in the world, Japanese, Chinese, European, American, I am talking about Native Americans, how did they came up with an idea of having 7-day week? Because the only reason we can find in Bible. There's no any other reason to have 7-day week. So actually, this is really amazing, but someone can ask, okay, Pastor, but we believe that this is true. You don't have to convince us that about this, and so why are you talking about this? And actually, I believe that we should really be very sure about that story. You know why? Because actually, I can really tell you that the whole basis of whole Christianity is in the first chapters of the Bible. If we are treating it as a metaphor, actually I can tell you that all the Christianity doesn't have any sense, okay? Because, hey, what's the purpose of Christ dying for ourselves? If there was no sin, if there was no temptation in the Garden of Eden, and so on and so on. What's the purpose? And actually, you know that there are many Christians, they are calling themselves Christians, but actually they really don't understand why Jesus had to die. In Poland, for many years, I was helping on one Christian YouTube channel, and my role was to give the answers to the people. And you can't even imagine how many people were asking me, hey, what's the purpose of Christ dying on the cross? Because they are saying, I don't understand it. So God the Father is mad at us, so he is giving his only begotten Son, he's killing his only begotten Son whom he loved, and why? To feel better? You know that it doesn't have any sense, right? If God is mad at us And actually, if he hates us, then what was the purpose of killing his only son for us? They don't understand it. And I really believe that they don't understand it also because they were treating the first chapters as a metaphor. But when we treat it as a literal story, we know that it was God who is creator of everything. And he took all the responsibilities. As our Father, he took all the responsibilities for the sins that we made as his children. This is totally different story. If the first 11 chapters of the Bible is just a metaphor, then we don't know anything about loving Father. We don't know nothing about God, who is the ruler and who is the producer of ourselves, right? Because if he is not the producer, if he didn't produce us, I know that this is not very nice word, that I'm not produced, I am made. No, if he didn't produce us, if he didn't make us, then actually he doesn't have any authority to tell me what is bad or right for me, right? But if he is the producer, if he made me, then hey, he have all the authority. Also, if the first chapters if it's just a metaphor, then actually we don't have a lesson about why we should be faithful to God and his commandments, right? Because this is exactly what is explained in the first chapters. God is saying, hey, be faithful to me, be faithful to my commandments, and everything will be okay. And they said, no. So, those chapters are explaining that we should be faithful to God. The first chapters are lesson about Sabbath, right? People are saying, hey, but only God rested on the seventh day. But you know that when you open your Bible, you will read that God said, it is said that God rested and blessed that day. So he put his blessing on this day. So even if it's not described in the Bible, you know, how Adam and Eve spent their first Sabbath, you know, what they did, and so on, we know based on that verse that God not only rested, but he put his blessing on that day. But hey, maybe it's just a metaphor. It's not a metaphor because it is in 10 Commandments. Okay? If this is only a metaphor, we will never understand how awful is sin. It will be very hard for us to understand it. Because they had everything and they lost it. This is how God described it. This God said, hey, I made everything perfect. I made it for you. And actually, if we don't believe this, then we will have problems with understanding to what place we are going, right? Because you know what is a picture of heaven made in Christians' head? You know, maybe not all, but many Christians are thinking that, oh yeah, we will be there on the clouds with the harp in my hand, and it will be pretty boring, but it is better than being in hell, burning forever, right? But when we understand that God created a literal Garden of Eden where everything was perfect, everything was so nice, and we are going to the same place where everything will be perfect. There will be no sin, no death, no pain, and so on and so on. Actually, I can even tell you that if we are saying that those 11 chapters are metaphor, not literal, then it also means that the Bible is not giving us an answer for the 3 huge philosophical questions. And those questions are, where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? This is pretty funny because, I don't know because that was one of the Greek philosophers who asked that 3 questions. And of course, because he was Greek philosopher, he didn't know anything about Judaism. So he was trying to find, to discover where did we come from, where are we going, and why are we here, and he spent his whole life to answer these 3 huge philosophical questions. And you know what? He just could go to the Jews, and they would give him all the answer. They would tell him, "Hey, we were created by God." The only God, and we sin, and we are going to heaven. This is amazing. So when we are treating those 11 chapters as a metaphor, it actually means that we are making our life much harder because, hey, what's the purpose of life? We don't know anything about purpose of life if this is only a metaphor. And last 2 points. If it is only a metaphor, then we are losing our very important lesson about other people. Do you know that other people are gifts from God to ourselves? Okay? He gave us other people. You are gift for me, and I hope I am gift for you. Okay? Because, hey, God created only Adam. He created Adam himself, just Adam. And he let Adam to discover that without other person, he feels this emptiness, right? So God knew that this will happen, right? He knew it. But he said, first, I will let you experience why do you need other person, and then I will give you this other person. So actually, I can really tell you that all of those people that are around us, they are God's gift to us. This is God's gift. And it also means that we really should treat each other very nice. Because if you are God's gift to me, if I am God's gift to you, it actually means that we should treat this God's gift very nice, right? If we love God, we will love other people. Why? Because other people are a gift from God. I will give you some picture, okay? Let me show it to you. I would like to share something with you. Do you see this? I'm pretty sure that our internauts will not. Do you see? You know who is on that drawing? Oh, you don't see it because he's slim and I am not. This is me. I Actually, it is even said that this is Tytus. This is me, okay? On one sermon that I had in Polish church, there is a small child, I don't know, Nicole, how old is she? 8? So 8-year-old child. She was sitting at the church, and she was making this drawing of me. And I said, oh wow, how sweet it is. You know, because it actually means that for that little child, I had to be enough important to draw my picture, right? So she drew it, and after my sermon, she went to me and she gave it to me. And I said, hey, what a beautiful gift I have from that little child. So, you know what I could do? I could just take that picture and say, hey, you know, it's not Rembrandt. Maybe a little bit more than Picasso because, you know, he was drawing everything without any form, you know. Yeah, you should do it better. Right? And then, you know, I could just take that picture and do. I don't like it. Don't worry, this is another piece of paper. Okay? I have my picture. Don't worry about this. Okay, so I was so happy about that piece of paper because that was a gift from that little child. And if I am happy about that piece of paper, then why shouldn't I be happy about other people that God created for me? You know, if I love God, I will love other people because they were created as a gift. And last lesson is, if the first 11 chapters are just a metaphor, then what's the purpose of marriage? You know that this is one of the most attacked thing from Christianity. You know that, hey, I don't like my wife anymore, let's divorce. I read an article this week when a journalist was describing that there are more and more polyamoric relationships. You know what is polyamoric? I also didn't know it. So polyamoric is poly, so multiple, and amor from love, okay? So this journalist was saying that there are more and more relationships where there is a husband and wife and a lover or mistress, and the partner is accepting the mistress of his wife, of her husband, and you know, and I was reading this article, and it was, oh yeah, my husband had a mistress, and I was okay because he was happy, so I am happy, and now I have a boyfriend, and he's happy because I am happy, and hey, yeah, this is so great, let's do it. Really? Because actually, you know, if the first 11 chapters are just a metaphor, then actually we can really see that we are nothing better than just animals. And if we are just animals, then hey, I am man, you know, I am evolutionary made to have as many children as possible, so why should I have only one wife? I should spread my DNA all around. You know that this is very logic, that if Bible is not true, then hey, Let's behave like animals. But Bible is saying, don't do it. One husband, one wife. And God is saying, and I want you to be happy. I can give you even, because this week I also read a different article, and you know that in that different article, the scientist, who was an atheist, was saying that you can get married when you are very young it's like your early 20s, and you can be very happy in your marriage if you didn't have sex before marriage. Atheistic scientist said so. And of course that was a huge article, and he was saying exactly what the Bible is saying, but he was saying this from the scientific point of view. So actually, I just took it another proof that the Bible is true, that what is in the Bible, it is true, and we can be faithful to God, and we can know God, and we can, because actually, you know why God gave us His Holy Bible? You know why? Because He really wants us to know Him. And that's why He wants us to trust His Word, to trust God, that what is in that Word, it is true. And it's false understanding when people are saying, hey, there is science and there is religion. And religion have nothing to do with science, because it is not true. Oh, it doesn't necessarily have to be true, okay? But when we look at proper science, we understand that Bible is true, and we can trust the Bible. We can read it, and we can know God better because we are spending our time with His holy Word. And I wish you to have more time spending on reading this book. Whoever was here during our Sabbath school lesson, Itamar had his first Sabbath school lesson as a teacher, and he said, "Oh, I am so blessed." And this is true, because you know why? You know what? If you are just reading the Bible, you are blessed. But when you are reading the Bible to teach other people, you are blessed twice. That's why it is so nice. That's why, actually, I can tell you, that's why I believe that this is the reason why God say to us that we should go and do evangelism. Couldn't God just send an angel? And there will be a huge angel, everyone will see this angel, and this angel will say, hey, the Bible is true, trust the Bible, and everything that is in it. God is God. He could do it, right? So why did He ask us to do it? You know why? Because we are increasing our faith when we are reading the Bible and when we are trying to teach that Bible to others. God is very thoughtful. He is very wise. And everything that He created is perfect. And blessed be His name. Amen.